So I am stoked to get to talk about a collectible that's coming out very soon. Let's see here. I think the best thing to do is because we're not doing news this time. The way we're structuring this episode is first we're going to talk about the Ultra Prints, where that's where Tom and Peter really come in. And after that, we are going to have a segment where I chat with Charlie and Bug from Spooky Pinball about a brand new Ultraman game, a pinball game called Ultraman Kaiju Rumble, which is you're not going to be able to see my excitement so much in the interview, but I am really excited to see this game in person.
We all get
had a hand in it. We'll find out about later.
We all get one of those on the show, right?
What's that?
We all get one of those pinballs for being on the show.
Everybody, check under your chair. There's a pinball game under your chair right now. Oh my God!
They sold out, right? They sold out of them.
Sold out. Yeah,
wow.
We're all about that later.
Who got one?
Insane.
We have to know at least one person who has one.
Wow.
Right. We can all go to their house.
Yeah. Well, next time we're in Chicago at G Fest, I'm sure they'll be bringing one for people to play. But anyway, that's for later. And then after that, we're going to have our intermission. We'll come back from the intermission, and then each of us is going to chat about our connection with Ultraman in some form or another and tie that in with collectibles, because that's what we're here for. And anyway, I think this is a perfect opportunity to ask Mr. Tom Whalen to introduce what he's got for Ultraman Day, because I know that it went on sale earlier today.
It did. So I designed a print for Ultraman through Nakatomi, who is Tim Doyle, who runs a licensing and print shop in Austin. And he secured the license with the help of Matt Frank with Subaraya, and reached out to me and asked if I wanted to help him launch his Ultraman series of posters, launching today. So I got to I have the honor of being the first poster in that series. And it was pretty much open slate, whatever I wanted to do Ultraman. And I kind of panicked a little bit because I realized even as diverse as the Godzilla Toho stable of monsters is, it's just that times 50 for the Ultraman stuff. So I kind of tried to pick my favorites and just do a collage that I feel encapsulates Ultraman and what I love about the series. So yeah, that launched today at 3:00. And there's two versions. There's a foil version, which I think there's a few left, that was limited to 66. And there's also a timed edition, which means as many prints as they sell from now through Tuesday of that, they'll print the quantity that they sell.
It's gorgeous.
The big book too, right?
Yeah, it's 30 by 20.
Woo, big one.
Yeah.
And see, I got the other one here too. So this is the foil version?
Yes.
Right here?
Oh,
nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very
that's
cool.
a really great design.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's got my favorite in there. It's got Dada in there, so I'm stoked.
No,
I got one. I was right on there. Kyle reminded me, and I went right to the site.
Thank you.
And I got one.
Yeah, I've heard.
Thank you.
Dada is. I've heard that same thing with quite a few people. Like that tugs the heartstrings for a lot of people.
Yeah, Dada's super popular, even in Japan.
In Japan, yeah.
I don't have the connection to Ultraman like I do to Godzilla, because I just, for whatever reason, and it's funny, John, when you said you were in Philadelphia right now, I did the math. 28.6% of this show is coming from Pennsylvania right now. So central Pennsylvania. But,
East Coast, baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just didn't have access to the Ultraman episodes when I was a kid as much as I did the Toho stuff. So I didn't even discover it. Like I always, of course, knew what he looked like and kind of what the monsters were, but I never really saw full episodes till I was in my 20s.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
By the way, update, the foil edition is sold out.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So you better jump on that timed edition, you guys, because it's badass.
Yeah, those things. I really love your design, Tom. It's. I mean, first, if anybody doesn't know, I'm a huge fan of your artwork. Anyway, I mean, I'll bring out the Kaiju Cast poster in a second too, just so people can see.
Thank you.
But it's. I mean, your design style, I'm sure John will agree with me, is so dynamic, and especially it shows such motion. But with stillness, it's amazing.
That's a focal point for me with static images, but kind of bringing a dynamic feel to it with design. I went to school to be an illustrator, but I got hung up on design along the way, and I love blending them. So I appreciate that you appreciate that.
Always appreciate it, man. Always.
They're incredibly iconic too. Each one of his images are instantly iconic with the composition, with the layouts. They're beautiful, man.
Beautiful.
So Peter, what do you have going on with Nakatomi?
I just snuck in here, dude. Like I wasn't even supposed to be here. Like, I saw the link. I hang out in Tom's inboxes all day. I saw it. I'm like, I'm here, dude. I'm just here to hang out, man. Well, it's funny. And Kyle, I don't know if this will even work. So I sent you on Facebook Messenger a couple of images. If you want to use them or not, you can. It's not like vital, but if that's possible. I also I had an Ultraman figure when I was super young. Okay, so this is by the way, for anybody watching, this is like an unofficial, please don't sue Ultraman print that I did. It was like my take on it, not based on any one suit. But it was just like for fun. I did it for 5 Points Fest in Brooklyn, 2019. And, I knew it was like a show that would respond well to it. And I was a big fan. I wanted to do it, and it sold out pretty fast. But I never made too many of these. So if anybody has one, kudos. There's like, I don't think I made more than 20 of these. And but yeah, I remember having an Ultraman action figure when I was, in the early 90s, mid 90s, like 94, 95. And I remember watching the show on like Fox Kids. There was something on there. And it says it was Ultraman Tiga, but I don't remember that's what I watched. It doesn't, well, either way, I believe it. And so, but I love the design. But like Tom said, I don't remember experiencing it a lot, in my, years after that until my 20s and, becoming friends with my buddy Brian Reedy, who's another great artist, and discovering it through him and loving it. And then, but really, my love for it was like crystallized. And that trip I took to Japan with Gabby my wife Gabby a couple of years ago, and it was, for people who don't know, in Japan, Godzilla's popular and all that, but Ultraman is like on another level in Japan. Like I remember we were on a train, and there was like the equivalent of Hair Club for Men commercial with Ultraman on it, and it's everything. He's iconic over there, and every shop we went into, every mandarake we went into, it was like, and then so I started to realize just how, like Tom was mentioning, how diverse the roster of Ultraman kaiju are. To me, it's a revelation. Like the kaiju design for Ultraman, I feel like I still have so much to learn about it too. Like, if any of you guys know a good source for like just understanding who designed what, and because there's a lot of anonymity in these things, somebody designed something, right? Is that the book I gotta get?
Yeah, dude. Narita. If you're going for the Ultra Q stuff and the Ultraman stuff and a little bit of Ultra 7, Toll Narita did all of those designs.
Okay, I'm gonna get that from
small
you.
Exceptions.
Okay, because it's like there is an artisanship and a creativity that's like, I as somebody who taught kids for 13 years, you almost can't get some of these designs without harnessing that, naivety from childhood. I mean, dude,
absolutely, that's a good way to put it.
Right? Like, there's something about to me, Jamila is a character that is, to me, one of the most tragic and beautiful stories, but also one of the most bizarre designs. Right? Yeah. I almost hated it before I came up with it. It's so weird. Anyway, so having said all that, my buddy Brian Ewing, who's another great artist, hit me up online. He goes, "Hey, my buddy Tim Doyle's doing some stuff over at his company Nakatomi and with Ultraman, and much like my story with Godzilla, I was doing unofficial, unlicensed Godzilla stuff, and because honestly, like, how do I, I'm a guy in Miami, I'm not plugged into all these scenes, and how do I get the attention of all these folks?" And, my motto up until that point is, make it even if it's unlicensed, and you'll either get a cease and desist or a W-2, like one of the two. And so I lucked out with Godzilla and Mondo, and they hooked me up, and they gave me a great platform, and we did some awesome Godzilla posters together. We got a Godzilla figure launching or being revealed this month. And then Tim Doyle, reached out through Brian Ewing. He says, "Hey, do you want to do an Ultraman poster?" I'm like, "F yeah!" And so, and so he told me that Brian was doing one. I guess I shouldn't say that. Somebody named Brian might be doing. Tom's doing one. We're gonna blow this whole thing out of the water, Tom. As reserved and professional as Tom Whalen is, I am the flip opposite and counterpart of that, which I think is why we get along.
Far more entertaining though.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But Tom's doing one. I'm like, well, if Tom's gonna do, I want to do it so bad. I want to do something official, and so I can't. I haven't finished the carving yet. We're still like in the approval phase, but since no one's really watching, right? It's just us here, us 7 here in the chat. I can show part of the linoleum here so you guys can see.
That's awesome.
Now, this is a great place to discuss this because since I have you here, I'm going to do Alien Bolton right there, my homie. And my original design had him with his little like giblets here moving while getting punched by Ultraman. And right now we're waiting to see should we leave them moving or should we respect the fact that it was like a solid mask suit that never really moved in the show, and should we make it solid? So that's where we are right now. And if anybody has opinions, we'll be happy to take them. But I want the giblets move.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm with you.
Be damned.
Go for it.
I like the movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got the action.
So yeah, I'm gonna do
different.
I'm going to do an Ultraman print for this launch. I'm super excited. And for me, there's nothing more fun than Ultraman. Like of all the Kaiju properties, I love Godzilla. I'm obsessed with Gamera. But Ultraman to me is like the most fun you can have. And it's the easiest one for Gabby to sit down and watch with me. We love sitting and watching all the episodes and the goofiness and all that's great.
That's actually, I have tried to get my wife to watch a lot of Godzilla movies. I mean, she will, but it's the Ultraman stuff that she absolutely has fallen in love with. And you mentioned Jamila.
Yeah.
I know on the show last year, I talked about one of my first Ultra figures. She actually gave it to me, and it was a Jamila figure that we found together when we were in a store in downtown Portland. Like, should not have had a Jamila figure, but yeah, I absolutely love that character. Awesome stuff.
I think it's just the fact that they like have these stories that wrap up in little bite-sized chunks, and while they might be like lighter and fair, and they're just so fun. Like the Kanagon episode is so good. I mean, like even the first episode with Bemular is so funny, and the water effects are so great. Talking about what John was talking about with the background, it's so immersive. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels good when you're watching it. And most importantly, I think Ultraman beats some ass, dude. Like everybody else, like he's throwing punches and elbows and grappling. It's so good, man.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because one of my listeners, I was having dinner with him one time back, Kaiju Cast listeners, and I was like, "So you never got into Ultraman?" And he was like, "Dude, Ultraman is like if somebody said, I love puppies.'" And then you get a half an hour of somebody beating the crap out of puppies. I don't want to see them die.
I love it.
I don't know if I necessarily feel the same way.
It's really interesting, you guys, because I have a whole different perspective because I watched these as a kid. Like I was the perfect age. I was in like 2nd grade. So I've got that wonderment of watching it as a child for the first time and secretly knowing that it's connected to the Godzilla universe somehow because you can see the crossover and the sound effects and this and that and some of the suits and things. But I have that really strong nostalgia factor that a lot of you guys don't have that caught it as adults. So that's why for me, like I was talking to John about this earlier. Like we watched this from when we were little kids. So we were that perfect age. Like I was like Hoshino's age. Like Hoshino would have been my friend, But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there that it just means so much more when you can see it when you've witnessed it from way back when. So it's just great, and I love that you guys who caught it as adults respond to it so well too.
Yeah, and I think also it's interesting because if you would have seen these as a kid, your idea, like, because for us, you see Godzilla, King Kong, and then for sure all the Harryhausen films I saw a lot as a kid. But when you see how diverse the kaiju are in Ultraman, that would have been fun to see as a kid. Like, because, you think of giant monster, you think of a giant lizard, even Reptar, it's like, but it would have been fun to have such a diverse influence. And I also think Ida is like the funniest character in that show, man. I like that.
It's
the
funny.
Scooby-Doo vibe.
I went through these with the box set of the first season with my son when he was probably 6 or 7, and he loved them. Like we couldn't. It was like nonstop. So it still does capture their
Oh,
imagination.
that's good.
Yeah.
Even younger kids of this generation still dig it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good to know. I like that.
I wish they would bring the show back and like unironically, like just even if they just re-aired the old episodes, like I think I don't know. I think it's timeless. It's just fun.
Absolutely timeless.
Yeah.
Should be on Nick at Night.
Definitely.
Something like
It's
that.
very mature. Very mature.
Cartoon Network right before Adult Swim starts.
Yeah.
I think that would work. Totally.
I was going to say this later, but Ultraman, it introduced me to good and evil and the gray area.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
To at first, the tragedy of in every episode. I mean, Hayata dies.
Yeah.
I mean, you write out, someone's dying virtually, something's dying in every episode. So it's a lot for children, but it at the time when we were growing up, David and I, it fit those days, those years for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Also-
So let's see
Also
here.
great- oh, sorry, Kyle. I was going to say. It's
No. Actually, this is good because if you want to, I'm like in the middle of like
Okay.
looking at comments
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah,
I was gonna
lay it
say
on
that-
me, Pete. Yeah.
that it also has like the same fun retro vibe of Star Trek TOS, like in terms of like aesthetics and sound and design. There's like a lot of parallels there. So sometimes I just like putting that kind of vibe on in the background, and it's just really good to hear all those like classic sci-fi like sounds going on.
It's so true.
Oh, good, man. My biggest problem now with the toys I have, I love so much. I wish I had like a good set of diorama pieces to go around them. Like I want little trees and stuff like that, but something ready made. I don't have time to tinker. Or, give me a little base.
Right.
Put it on.
That's right. I thought in Shin Godzilla, just hearing those sounds that were so familiar from Ultraman, just made all kinds of connections, and tied the past with the new. And also with Shin Ultraman, whenever that happens, that I look forward to that and how it taps into into 1966.
100%.
I'm really excited for Shin Ultraman. I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
And, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, good phrase.
Is that? I've definitely heard of it and seen the designs in the trailer. Is that a series or is that a film?
It's a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be out sometime, I think, in the fall. Although I can't remember the last update I heard. Maybe we'll hear something today on.
Yeah, that would be great.
There was a short that came out on YouTube like 4 or 5 years ago that was, I think he was fighting a manga or something. I forgot who
That's
it was.
right. That's right.
It was,
I thought that was like perfect. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do a CG Ultraman, just do this. Like, and there's a good example for why it would be cool to do a CG Ultraman, because some of those shots where like you're just under them and coming up and all that. What did you guys know anything about that? Like what that was, where it came from, and what was for?
As far as I know, it was actually produced through Subaraya, but I actually at the time I thought it was a teaser
Me too.
for the following series that was coming out, or the following movie that would be coming out, and then that is absolutely not what happened.
Right? Yeah.
I wish that I had the actual answer, but I don't. It's a mystery to me. If someone out there, maybe if you're watching in the chat, or if you're watching afterwards, feel free to pop that into the comments. Let us know, because and I'm not talking about speculation. I don't want to see any speculation. I want ironclad, real answers. I can speculate till the cows come home and talk forever because I was a podcaster, but I'm not going to do that on this episode. We're going to go ahead and move on.
And while I can, let me give a shout out to my friend Eric. We grew up together watching Ultraman and all those shows. I mean, so we had this. I mean, we still we run the shops all the time. We just went to New York last weekend, so we've been rolling since we were 4 and 5 years old. So Ultraman is in our blood.
That's fantastic.
Ultra buddies.
Yeah. Jedi Saga. He's Eric. It's my boy.
That's fantastic, John.